Welcome back to Brad's Car Mods. I'm Brad. If you haven't caught up on what we're doing, this is part 4 of a K-24 swap into my 99 NB Miata. Engine is out. New engine is on the stand over there, ready to bolt up to the transmission. And one of the things I haven't done yet is start marking stuff off. So strip the K-24 and clean it. Yep, we've done that. Oh, my marker's perfect. Build the K-24. It's close enough to being done, so we'll mark that off. Pull the BP4W, totally gone out of the engine. Bay, that's gone and sold. Trans swap, we're still waiting on parts for that, so that's not quite done yet. Today is these two here, clean the engine bay and do the subframe swap. So the goal is to disconnect the steering rack, pull the wheels off, unbolt the brake calipers and hang them, put the wheels back on, undo the shocks and the subframe bolts, drop the subframe wheels, shocks, suspension front end all completely in one shot, raise the car up with the QuickJack's lift, roll everything out, take it all off, put it all on the new subframe, and then roll it back in and bolt everything back up again, and subframe is swapped. And then we'll roll the car out in the driveway and power wash the engine bay because the engine bay is disgusting. That's our goal today, is those two things: subframe swap and power wash everything. Got some extra hands here today, so we're ready to rock and roll. Subframe is pretty straightforward. There's a big bolt there, a big bolt there, a couple of small bolts up here. Small, I should say small. They're still big bolts. And then that's it. And that's what connects this whole entire subframe to the frame of the car. So we'll disconnect those here in a second. Before I do, that PPF frame right there that kind of stiffens the middle of the car there and keeps everything kind of rigid, and it connects to that actually bolts the transmission right there. It's kind of dangling out in the way, so I'm just going to zip tie it up out of the way so that when we put the car back on the ground and roll it out, it'll be nice and secure, or out of the way. All right, subframe is out all in one piece. You can see the double wishbone suspension, all in one piece. Brakes are still on the car. We're gonna take the rack off, the steering rack off first, because we need some of the bolts on that. We're gonna use a different rack, but the subframe, the new subframe is in the box back there. So steering rack off first, because we've got threaded tie rod ends. We're going to kind of mark the threads so that when we put the new rack on and bolt the tires up to the rack, we can get it roughly in the right spot so that I can get an alignment done without destroying the tires on the way there. So yeah, the goal right now is to basically take the wheels, brakes, knuckle, all the suspension on the side over here is going to be unbolted from the subframe, and then we'll pull the new subframe in, put the new steering rack on, and then all the suspension you can see right here on this side. This suspension that would move up and down on these two, it's a double wishbone suspension, so top and bottom wishbone here. That's just going to get unbolted from the subframe, and we'll swap the subframe to the new one and bolt the stuff back on and put it back in the car. Basically the reverse order we took it out. We'll lower the car back down and try to line everything up, put a couple bolts into it, and then raise it up a little bit so I can get underneath there, and then use the impact and run everything back up. Big progress. All of the suspension is back on, torqued down. The tie rod ends here are hopefully adjusted about correct. Like I said, you know, about is what we're going for. Everything's tight, so now we're putting the wheels back on. So now we can do what I said earlier, we can do the reverse where we can slide this back underneath the car. The goal is to use the QuickJack lift and set the car down, line everything up, and you know the frame will sit here on this plate. There's a couple of bolts that stick straight down, so we just have to line everything up, shock towers, set the car down.
Brad, I think if we stick these struts in these holes,
Yeah.
right, it'll be close.
Okay. We got a ways to go, don't we?
Yeah. Our blocks are gonna drop here in a second too.
Yep, I see it.
There you go.
Looking good?
Yep, I'm close.
Carl?
Yeah, I'm close. Go. Hold on.
I think let me see from up here.
Brad, can you go up just a little bit? Stop.
Yeah, it's definitely got to roll back. Let's shock it.
Okay, 1 second, Brad.
Yep.
All right.
Carl?
Come down slow. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm in right
I'm
there.
in.
It's a new day out here in the shop, and you know, we left off basically a couple days ago where the subframe, like all the suspension parts and the wheels and the steering rack was all attached to the subframe. We were able to lower the car down and attach the subframe essentially to the body, and there's 8 total bolts that attach the subframe to the car. We stopped though because, let's get in the car and I'll show you. We stopped because, underneath the car, right here, so this bolt obviously is easy on both sides. This bolt up here though is hard to get to, for one, and two, the hole was not lining up with the bolt hole on this side. I could get the other sides in just fine, but that one wasn't lining up. And we got some pry bars and we were doing all kinds of prying trying to get it to line up. We couldn't do it. So we left off because it was late at night, and I came out here, and in 5 minutes after thinking about it, I figured out exactly what I needed to do. Any guesses? I took a ratchet strap and I hooked it on this side, right there, and on this side, right here, and I ratcheted it and pulled that to there. Started the bolt, ran it in with the impact, and was able to release the tension and get all the rest of the bolts in, no problem. 5 minutes. Cleaner head, like I've said before many times, I'm not a professional mechanic. And what that means is that I don't know the tricks of the trade. When I'm sure there's plenty of mechanics out there that would attach a strap to that immediately on within the first minute of figuring that out. But sometimes, you gotta sleep on it. That's true of any project, I suppose, but in this case, when you're trying to figure things out, sometimes it's better to come back the next day. Now I do have an issue that I'm still going to work on, which is everything's in the car, but the steering rack, once we lined everything up, in the haste of trying to put all this together, the shaft and this joint right here is not on the right splines. So with the wheels straight in the car, the steering wheel is way off. Not a big deal. I can loosen everything and adjust that, but that's where we are to finish this up, and finish putting this back together, is straighten that up. I got all the bolts tightened down now. I need to go back and just check all the other bolts because it's all suspension parts. We threw it together on the floor and put it in the car, and I just need to go back through and tighten all the bolts up. And then little things like before I put the wheels on, I need to spray down the brake rotors because we manhandled them. So just finishing up those little things. All right, one last step before I put the engine in a couple days, and that is to clean this engine bay. Now that I got the engine bay all removed, subframe is in, new depowered steering rack is in. This is just grime and filth. So I'm gonna hit it with the power washer to wet everything down, and then I've got a bottle of engine degreaser. I'm just gonna spray everything, let it soak, agitate a little bit, and then spray it one more time and try to clean it up as best I can. I don't need to be perfect, but I am putting a shiny new engine in there. So I want the engine and transmission to go back in clean and try to keep it that way. And I will spare you the details. So here's the before. And here is the after. Look at, there's black shiny metal in there. I can't believe it. This engine bay has been so gross since I've got this car because I focus on everything else besides actually cleaning it. But now that I'm putting a nice new engine back in here and the engine's all cleaned up, I wanted to make sure the engine bay was nice and clean. Also, like I said, hit the transmission with some degreaser and a power washer. That way it'll be a little easier to see if there's leaks or anything like that. And obviously much cleaner to work on. I am so stoked to wrap up this video because the very next video is going to be that engine mounted to that transmission and put in the car. Finally, it's been months and months and months of work. Just, I have a daily job and costs and all that good stuff, but we're finally to the point now where we can start wrapping up this project. Engine in, and then wiring and all that fun stuff coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. The comments, the likes, subscribes, all the feedback I've gotten so far. Everyone loves the project and people are stoked, and it makes me fired up, and I cannot wait to drive this car. The weather is getting nice here in Missouri, and it sucks because I like driving my car as soon as the weather is nice, and I can't right now, and this thing is going to be an absolute blast when when I get to be able to drive with this new K24 in it. And so keep watching. Next video is going to be exactly that. Engine, transmission put together and thrown in the car. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. If you want to support the channel directly, bradscarmods.com, you can get a shirt. This is actually the long sleeve version of the K24 or the K-Swap project shirt with the cool design on the back. Hats, stickers, all the fun stuff. All right. See you in the next one.
Hey, hey, hey.